Welcome to Toronto, Yorgos.
Okay.
You just got into town actually a couple of days ago because you premiered in Venice. I was wondering if you could discuss the experience of first showing the film, and then I guess maybe you guys were out of town when you received the call to come back to the festival. Like, tell me how that blitz went.
Yeah. Well, we went to the festival as planned. We showed the film. Premieres are, in general, for me, very painful to see the film for the first time and with so many people in the room. It felt like it was 8 hours long. It would never finish. But I guess it went okay.
Did it go over the 10-minute standing ovation? Because I always hear 10-minute standing ovation for every single film that gets presented.
No.
They get 11 minutes. They get 9.
Not really. I think that at the premiere there wasn't such enthusiasm, I think. But, everything is kind of blurred. So, there were some very good reviews, people were talking about it. There was a lot of interest afterwards from press and people. They were excited. You get to hear mostly the good stuff anyway.
Of course.
And people come to you that want to speak to you that, basically like the film. It's not the ones that didn't. So, But in general, there was a positive reaction and some extreme, negative reactions. But, that's expected. And, so we went away. And, we got the call to go back.
And when you get that call to go back, are you told what that call?
No, it's very vague.
Okay.
They don't want to tell you exactly what it is.
Do they tell you to bring the whole staff back?
No.
Okay.
You get the idea because they tell you which people should be there. But they do not officially tell you, you want this.
They want to keep a little bit of the surprise.
Yeah, exactly.
To the end.
So it depends, who the people are that have to go out. You might not even know anything if if they call just a director, or if he was also an actor and a scriptwriter. He doesn't know what he's gonna get. Yeah. But it was a nice. We went back. It was a nice brief ceremony. We got the award that we expected since me and the scriptwriter were there.
Yeah, that's the punch was kind of stolen beforehand.
Yeah, but still, it's very intense. You sit in there and you're thinking maybe they wanted to tell us something else. Maybe it's they made a mistake. Maybe I don't know.
We're in the offices right now of the Canadian distributor who bought the rights to the film before Venice, from what I understand. Was there a lot of interest generated for your third solo film right after Dogtooth? What was the response to when you started financing the film?
Well, not financing. It was really difficult to finance it. We haven't yet.
Really? There's like 200 producers on this film.
Yeah, but they're very small producers. It's exactly the way it happened. It's very small co-producers that each one gave like 20,000, 10,000. So we gathered the money to shoot the film, and we decided to make it this way because we didn't want to wait for years to make our next film. Sure. So no, the financing for a Greek film didn't come really, and now after having been to Venice, the Greek Film Center also has come in. And
they came back to life, is what you're saying?
Yeah, they came back to life. They decided to support the film. After it was completed. With a very limited risk, no risk actually. After it was in Venice. So now now the film is being really financed. We had the money to shoot it. Now we're getting money, and we can start paying people that didn't get paid. All the labs and stuff that we didn't pay.
What a stressful environment.
It is.
It's like you make the film, you think everything's done, but it's just as stressful afterwards.
No, it was the only way we could make the film. But, after the word was out that we had another film and we were finishing it and where it was going to be, people got interested, and by the way we got to the word got out that we're in Venice. People contacted Match Factory, and from the UK, I think they bought the film without having seen it.
Wow,
and
that says a lot.
Yeah, that was good.
So I noticed in your credits, I was looking at your website the other day, and I noticed that, you put this picture together relatively fast. You were the producer and actor in Edinburgh, which is Athina's film.
Yeah, co-producer.
Co-producer.
Yeah.
And then you do theater work.
Yeah.
You seem to be doing a whole bunch of different things at the same time. How does maybe theater work help with the creative juices for your filmmaking and screenwriting? How do these interplay with one another?
I have a weird relationship with theater. I never studied theater. Mm-hmm. It just came by accident, basically. They offered me at some point in this small theater that was basically the school of the avant-garde theater in Greece.
Okay.
Well, it's not really avant-garde, it's what the national theaters all around the world are, like the Schaubühne in Berlin or the Volksbühne.
So this is
more contemporary theater than the very classical, conventional theater.
And they offered you this based on...
They had seen some of the stuff I've done. I've worked with choreographers. I've done some dance theater videos. I've stuff like that. I think I hadn't made my first film, Kineta. No, I hadn't. And they have this program where their young directors could do a play for a few days and like a little festival. Mm-hmm. And they offered me this, and it went really well. And then
so it's an integral part of. In a year span, you could be touching a project like this. Does it help? Like you say, it helps with this is where you plan out a lot of choreographies. Does it help? Your films are very they're physical. There's the actors are doing very oddball physical activities. Does it help you with that aspect?
I think it does. The main thing that theater helped me with was to find this way of working with actors. Because in cinema you barely have any time with them. Mm-hmm. We tried to do that. In my first film, Kineta and Dogtooth, we had a month of rehearsals, which is not very common in films. So I tried to do that, and I learned that through theater. But theater itself, whenever I stage a play, then I have to let 3 years pass by to do theater again, because I really don't like the experience. I have to forget the experience for a few years, and then when I'm offered something new, I accept because, I want to get into that.
You want to get uncomfortable
way, into that way of working with actors.
It's really, going back to ALPS, which I adored, this idea about being a character, remaining a character, losing yourself in a character. Can you briefly outline, you said it during the Q&A, but could you briefly outline that morsel of an idea that you and your fellow screenwriter, and I won't be able to pronounce his name right, but I'll try, Efthimis
Filippou.
There you go. I would never get it right. How did that morsel of an idea come about?
I can't say, because it was something that he said, basically. So he was obviously thinking about this thing. And
was there a death in his family? Was there
no, nothing like that. But we do that. We're doing this in the next script we're writing together. We sit down. Dogtooth was kind of different. I kind of had this idea, and I offered it to him, and he had never written a script before. So it started like that. But after Dogtooth, because we liked working together, we just, whenever we're finishing a film, we sit down and say, okay, so what would you want to do next? What would interest you to do? Do you have any ideas? Are you thinking about something? And while we're discussing, he said, I'm thinking about this thing, people sending letters like these dead people. And I said, yeah, that's very interesting. The laws. How could someone who's not,
which is great in theory. It sounds therapeutic. It sounds avant-garde like medicine or something. I love the idea of it.
Yeah, exactly.
It could go wrong.
Yeah.
Desperately wrong,
But my initial response was, yeah, that's very interesting, but, make a film about people writing letters to other people. How did that go about? But it was strong, and I kept thinking about it. And, I think it was, while I was thinking about it, I get this rush, and I typed down like a synopsis. No, it was like a synopsis, like, okay, about this woman. Maybe she can work in a hospital, so it's easy for her to access these people, and why it's much more interesting if she actually goes and pretends to be these people instead of making phone calls or writing letters, and that could be complex and interesting, and and I sent it to him, and he liked it, and we got down and started discussing it again, and he had the idea then of making it a group of people and not just one, following basically one. But it would be nice if there were, this like a small organization.
Yeah, it's like a Mission Impossible 18 type thing.
So there's these other people that come from different backgrounds, and they're all doing this. So it evolved from there.
Now, before Venice and TIFF even started, there was your press book. Details from the press book that was released online.
Yeah.
And in it you had the 15 rules of the ALPS.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious if you read it, but I was wondering how, did you, is that part of the character development when you started writing these details out? Is how much of a, how much do you write that's not in the script and that's perhaps available to the actors, but in order for them to size out the role?
Nothing. It goes the other way around. We wrote down the rules, and Efthimis did actually, just before Venice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's for something to put into the press book, because I didn't want to do the director's statement or interview or this usual stuff, because I hate explaining the film, especially the first time you present it in the press book, have an interview or a statement like, this is what my film is about.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to do that. And, we were discussing it again, and, he had this idea of writing down the rules. Basically, so we did really
last minute.
And, the rules, we kind of had to discuss them while we were writing, but we discussed, it step by step, like each scene we had to face, we were discussing, so about this thing, about sex, what would be, their their take on it, what would be the rules, is it forbidden, is it part of what they do, we would discuss it step by step, so we didn't have all the rules, we were making them up as we were writing the script.
So that's really interesting to me.
Yeah, and we wouldn't tell anything to the actors or anyone. I don't like working this way.
Okay.
Having background stories for the people and the actors.
If you don't do that to the actors, then are they just do they just take the material and they go with it, or do they kind of try to figure? Do you see them trying to figure out where this character is coming from, especially in your lead character? Monterosa,
I think I work with people that we have the same kind of philosophy.
Okay.
And they don't, and I encourage them not to start getting into that. Mess their minds with all that stuff and just, like you said, work in a very physical way and, be very vulnerable in the scene and not really knowing much.
Do you do a lot of takes in general? Are you...
Not a lot, but if this time, because we were shooting digital also, because we didn't in this film we didn't have a lot of rehearsals. I would start very early on to shoot, so there were quite a few takes.
Okay.
But just to let things evolve, as we're shooting, and get them into a point. And since I could shoot it, I would do that through rehearsals, basically. And since I could shoot it, I shot. Well, our idea about it was that she got more personal but not in one story. It's the chance that she has in this new story. Because you see most of the other things already happening, and then there's this new story about this 16-year-old girl tennis player that you see how it happens from the beginning. And our idea was to show this, these different paths that she's taking. And,
she's going rogue, but we don't know how many times she's gone rogue. We don't know. No, that's not true. Sorry. We do figure out that she is rogue to begin with, in a way.
Yeah.
But we can't confirm it.
No. But I like this ambiguity.
Yeah. I love it too, because it's a head scratcher. You want to see the film a second time.
Exactly. And I think you would waste so much time if you tried to do the other thing on a film structured this way. It would have to be a whole different film focused on different things to explain and to set up that, up to now she hasn't been like this and now she's becoming like this.
What I liked also is the people who solicit the services. And they do it for very specific reasons. I think not one is matched. They all do it for very different personal reasons. I personally love the blind lady character, which is my favorite one of them all. I know you don't want viewers, critics to read too much into your films, but are you making a slight commentary on coping mechanisms and how people deal with grief and loss? Is that some kernel?
Yeah, it's not
that you wanted to explore.
It's not that I don't want people to read things into it. I cannot really put my stamp of approval on them. Because most of the things we haven't thought of, and it's fine. I like that. I just cannot say yes, you're right.
Yes,
that's it.
Yes.
So, building this character and her story, it was about her having had this experience, and wanting for some kind of reason, in her own way to relive it, and but things really we do them very instinctively. We shot a couple of more scenes of the blind woman while we were there, which just come to us like that because we're there, and we have this story in our heads, and we say, okay, why don't we shoot this scene and this other scene, and maybe it becomes a different story because the core is there, and maybe the scene where she discovers her husband with her best friend wasn't there in the script, but it's now there in the film, and it makes sense.
Yeah, of course. That's great. Going to the dialogue, it's very distinct and it's absurd again, much like Dogtooth. It's like it's got a grade school military type execution. Is there any particular reason for this precise mannerism? Because we don't find in Kineta, it's mostly there's not much dialogue in Kineta.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel as robust or like robotic or this two back-to-back films where there's kind of like an association there with how people speak to each other, and I was wondering why.
Yeah.
Is it the comedy aspect?
When they speak in Kineta, they speak in a similar way.
Really?
I think the few scenes.
Okay, yeah. There's like 5 scenes, I think.
Yeah. So, I think that there's a general philosophy that I'm working with actors, or the way that I choose them. And I really, don't try to stylize them in any way.
But they sound retarded.
Well, yeah.
You like seeing that in your characters.
Well, I like, unique individuals. I don't think they sound retarded, I have to say.
I hope I didn't offend you there.
No. Okay. I mean, it's how people see things. I mean, I think that they, all their sensitivities and all their problems surface and are revealed in this way, and to me, it's the simplest way of conveying it.
Okay.
There's no really. I mean, it just happens very naturally. We don't really try that hard. It's just making the right choices, setting up the proper environment and conditions, and it just happens. And another thing is that all these people come from so many different backgrounds, and somehow they tune in. I mean, they're actors, non-actors, theater actors. I mean, it's different.
So it's like it's like a common language ground, if you will.
Yeah, which is somehow built without much pushing it.
Yeah. Another aesthetic choice, the blurring of the face is very interesting. Thing you did there. You made the decision of keeping the bereaved parents out of focus. Why did you choose to go about it that way? Is there?
Well, mainly because there was a whole way of thinking of revealing this whole story, by following mostly the nurse, or whenever she's not in a scene, which is very rare, focus on a different person mainly. So I wanted to be very focused and very simple the way things are revealed, and not being too
detailed, I guess.
Yeah, too explanatory and expositional, that kind of film. So I felt that it matched with the atmosphere. This whole thing, be more focused on one person, and in each scene, the viewer would have to figure out things on his own, and then of course visually, it felt much more beautiful, and again, it gave this feeling of all these bereaved people being like ghosts somehow, and around our protagonists. So, and it was because this story, could go either way. You could start getting much more into the grieving parents or friends or whatever, and then you have the people that are making the substitutions. So there would be many aspects of the film and the story that you would have to follow, and I think this way is much more focused, and it's obvious that what interests us more is what happens to these people that are actually are offering the service instead of to the ones that
are requesting the service. I'm going to end with one final question. It's always the same thing: is what's your next project? But this time you mentioned during the Q&A that it's not going to be set in Greece, or potentially. Yeah. And my question to that is: it purely an economical decision that you're making, or is it an artistic choice, or is it a little bit of both?
It's definitely both. I mean, I'm very tired by making the films the way I described to you in the beginning. I mean, we've made 3 films the same way, no financing, people working for free, being complete, in, all the time in stress if you're gonna be able to complete your film. So that's one thing. And of course, the other thing is that I'd like to explore different places and people and
potentially other languages as well. I mean, in this one, you kind of bring in the English language comically. It's the most fun use of the English language in this entire festival for me. So, is that another potential direction? Is it like, do you have like?
I mean, at the time, I'm thinking of working in English.
Okay.
So because it's going to be much easier for me.
Okay.
And but I always like to incorporate as much as I can the places, locations, and the whole atmosphere of the people and the
cast.
Everyone, that's how I make the choices, and I try not to hide them in the film, but to really make them part of the film, and to make part of the film things that I've never thought of before. So it would be interesting to visit other places and
get out of your comfort zone even more.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and good luck with ALPS, and hope it receives a lot of film festival play and divides critics and audiences alike.
Yeah, it seems so.
Yeah, but that's a good sign.
Yeah,
that means you're doing something right.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Eric from MyOwnCinema.com. If you want to support us, subscribe below. For more reviews, interviews, film festival coverage from Sundance, Cannes, Toronto, you want to check out these guys on this side.